What's going on, JB?
Good evening, Sarina, and good evening, all of you joining us on YouTube, Facebook, and the Rams.com. Welcome to the Rams post-draft show presented by Albertsons, Vons, Pavilions, the official grocery stores of your Los Angeles Rams. My name is JB Long, proud to be the voice of your Rams, and I'll be your co-host for tonight's show. You already heard from Sarina. We're going to bring a number of guests in to break down the Rams' Day 2 picks as the draft continues here on a Friday night. Include my partners on the radio team, Maurice Jones-Drew and DeMarco Farr. But first, let me introduce by my side throughout the night co-host, Rams team reporter, Sarina Morales. Good evening, Sarina.
What's going on, JB? Big night for the Rams. So glad to be with all of you. Thanks for everyone watching tonight on YouTube, Facebook, and on the Rams.com. In addition to the great draft insight provided by MJD and DeMarco and JB, we'll also be joined post-draft by head coach Sean McVay and general manager Les Sneed. We're going to hear right from the sources about our newest Rams. So we're also going to have a couple special guests join us throughout the show. So make sure you keep it locked right here for the next hour.
All right, let's bring in those two gentlemen who live and breathe the Rams football with us. On the radio side, my broadcast partners, Maurice Jones-Drew and DeMarco Farr, to talk about the 3 draft picks the Rams have already selected, with at least one more to come tonight, we expect at 104. But Cam Akers, a running back at 52, Van Jefferson, a receiver at 57, and most recently, Terrell Lewis, an edge rusher out of Alabama at 84. We see DeMarco Farr. We see Maurice Jones-Drew. MJD, let's start with you. Since the Rams started with a running back, give us your thoughts on a Friday night draft for the Rams.
So excited to see them go ahead and take a running back, and specifically Cam Akers, a guy who, as a freshman, was highly productive. Coming out of high school, was one of the top players in the country. I want to say the number 1 running back his year. Goes to Florida State, has a phenomenal freshman year under Jimbo Fisher. Obviously, the coach leaves, a new coach comes in, doesn't fit the system. But when you look at what he's able to do, he runs very smoothly. He's patient. He allows his blocks, sets up his blocks very well. And then in the passing game, he picks up blitzes. He understands the blitz protection, and he's not afraid to put his face in there. And I think that's a great start, because obviously we know this play action system, you need to have a guy that can run, and Cam Akers can do that with not a lot of miles on his legs.
DeMarco, you said, yeah. I was going to say, you said you read all those books behind you. So what do the newest draftees look like, especially someone you can add on to Cam Akers, or if you want to get into Van Jefferson, who I hear is such a pristine route runner, very smart?
Well, I mean, everything that Murray said about the running back, I would have said about like Malcolm Brown as well. So I was a little bit surprised, like everyone else, that they would go running back there, especially with what happened with Todd Gurley. It's not like I don't like Cam Akers. I do. I think the guy is a tackle-breaking machine. So anytime you can get that type of guy on your roster, all for it. I just never thought they'd do it at 52. But, yeah, I mean, depth at running back I think is important. I think it's very, very important. And think about how last season went and the season before, when you're down a receiver or 2 during a game, and how that hamstrings you. So the more competition you bring in at wide receiver, the better your offer you're going to be. Now, I bet Aaron Donald is fit to be tied right now when you're thinking of the edge rushers that were out there at 52 and 57 that you passed up on for the offensive guys. But you're never going to say no to a guy that can put the ball in the box. That's what it's all about in the NFL. So Sean McVay, Les Sneed thinking offense. In this division, it's hard to say they're wrong.
I want to circle back to something you said there along the way, DeMarco, which I think is really important. I've seen a lot of drafting a 4th receiver comments tonight already on social media, right? Well, we don't know how they're going to distribute in terms of targets and catches, but we know this. Wide receiver 4 for the Rams has been essential in each of the last 2 seasons. The Rams do not make it to the Super Bowl without Josh Reynolds stepping up from 4 to 3 and replacing Cooper Kupp. And similarly, with the December run they made without Brandon Cooks for a good chunk of that, with Reynolds again stepping into the fold. So we'll hear from Les Sneed, Sean McVay later tonight, hopefully in terms of what role within that receiver trio they see this prospect playing. But I think as much as any other team in the National Football League, 4th receiver is a starting position on the Rams offense.
Absolutely. Look, if they can cover your top 2, then let's see what your slot guy can do. If they can cover him, then let's bring in the dime and see if he can cover as well. And look, this offense is going to be multiple, but when you are drafting receivers this high, it makes you ask and wonder, what happens to the tight end spot? What happened to the 12 personnel package that we're so used to Sean McVay running? Maybe that's gone by the wayside. Maybe more receivers, more running backs, maybe the offense changes some.
Well, what does it mean for Darrell Henderson, Maurice? How does he complement Cam or vice versa? Who do you think takes the first drive of 2020 at SoFi Stadium?
Well, I still think it's Henderson's job to lose right now. I know Malcolm Brown is there as well, but when you talk about guys getting drafted and bringing guys in, you're just adding competition to that room. And to be completely honest with everyone that's watching, you need multiple running backs to make it to the Super Bowl. Point blank period. C.J. Anderson was a blessing in disguise because you needed two backs to take that load when you get to the playoffs. I know a lot of people talk about the workhorse and what Todd was able to do. When you get in the playoffs, it's a long season. So you want to have as many guys as possible that can run and help take the load off and pretty much help your offensive line by getting them going forward. So I don't know who's going to win this because, again, this is going to be a funky offseason. I think if it was a regular offseason, I would probably give Cam Akers a nod. But because it's we don't know when the league is going to start and when you can go into training camp and OTAs and those type of things, I think it's Henderson's job to lose right now and then mixed in with a little bit of Akers throughout the season.
Does he give Johnny Hecker a run for his money? Apparently he played QB a bit in high school and then had a couple trick plays actually against Syracuse, if I recall correctly. So I think this will be a fun pick for Sean McVay and the offense overall.
What's Johnny Hecker's passer rating? I think he's safe. I think he's good. He doesn't miss very often.
No, not at all. I think what Cam Akers brings, though, I mean, and when you talk to people out of Florida State, he brings a dog mentality. I mean, You're talking about a guy where let's be honest, Florida State just hasn't been really good the last couple of years. And yet he came to work every day when you talk to people in that program, and he never complained one bit about the offensive line and other things. He just kept working. And so that's what you want. You want a guy that's going to come in and with that workman mentality, because that's what we've seen the Rams become over the last couple of years. And I think it's just a great addition for what they want. I know we haven't talked about Van Jefferson, but I would like to add, Coach McVay likes a certain style of receiver, and it's more mental than it is physical, what he likes. And I think that's important because Van Jefferson has he's a pedigree, right? He's a pedigree. We like guys, your dad played in the league, played receiver 13 years. He's a receiver coach in the league. So I don't have to teach you everything, how to run routes and how to convert routes. I can plug and play you right now, similar to JB, we would see Cooper Kupp getting guys lined up and ready to go. He was an extra quarterback out there. And when your quarterback and receiver do the same thing, it helps your offense move forward.
That's what I love when you talk about receivers, especially guys in the draft or at the combine. When you ask certain people about receivers, if they mention their speed first, chances are I won't like them. When they talked about him, they talked about his route running. That I love, that he can run every single route on the route tree. That plays at this level. You know that. It doesn't matter about speed. Sometimes it doesn't matter about your vertical and what you can do when the ball's in the air. If you can't run the right routes or can't think, they can't use you. And if they can't
learn that already, didn't we learn that from Cooper Kupp? Haven't we learned from these later draft picks that's not the thing to do all the time?
From Cooper Kupp to a guy like Sammy Watkins, who struggled to pick up the offense, right? So you couldn't use him to the best of his ability. So as long as you have those guys that take football seriously and it's more what happens above the neck, those receivers are plug and play. I like those type guys.
Speaking of fast, though, I think he might have football fast in him. And what I mean by that is he couldn't run the 40 at the combine, as I understand it, because of a foot injury. But he ran really well in terms of top-end speed at the Senior Bowl. And I think the Rams internally put a lot of value in that Zebra technology that recorded that top speed. And they trust that, when he's going vertical on a football field, that might be more important than the underwear Olympics time. But I think the point still stands. If his comp is Cooper Kupp, well, then he's not necessarily replacing Brandon Cooks' role in your offense, which you might still need to find.
True. I don't know how fast Robert Woods is, but all I know is he keeps making plays. You know what I mean? So you don't need to be super fast to be effective in this offense in the National Football League. As long as you know what to do and how to adjust, I think you're going to be fine.
With the 84th, go ahead, MJD.
I'm sorry. Also, when you watch Van Jefferson, he runs every route, right? I think when you watch Cooper Kupp, when you watch his tape, he ran some posts here and there. But when you watch Van Jefferson, he can take the top off the defense if need be. He can run the 18-yard comeback. He can run the short routes, the option routes. I guess his route running, again, because of his father, he understands how to utilize his speed and how he can run the same route. Like I always tell people, Jerry Rice ran a 4.6, but it was a 4.6 when he ran slants. It was a 4.6 when he ran
uphill, downhill.
He just ran forward. Like, so you can't stop. You don't know when he's going to stop. And so I think that's important when you have a route runner like Van Jefferson, no matter how fast he is, as long as he runs the routes at the same speed, he's going to be tough to cover.
Before we get to Terrell Lewis and switch sides and talk some defense, because I know that edge pickup was big for what the Rams hope to do with Brandon Staley, their new defensive coordinator. I have one more question about Cam Akers at running back, and it's within the context of 3 years of Sean McVay's offense. It comes with the caveat that they had Todd Gurley, right? An all-pro who's a 3-down back and had more touches at running back than any other player in the league. However, we all know that young running backs struggled to get on the field under Sean McVay to this point, right? John Kelly couldn't really get it done, and so they had to go out and get CJ. Last year, Darrell, for a variety of reasons, couldn't really take carries away from Malcolm and from Todd. And so here you are taking a running back with your first pick of this draft, and we already know the offseason program has been compromised. Maurice, what kind of challenge is that going to be for Cam to come in and earn Sean McVay's trust, especially in pass protection?
Well, I think the biggest thing is when you get there, right? For let's say, for example, when you get to once you get him in the training camp, you have to figure out what he knows already from the basics. Does he know 2-jet, 3-jet, slide protection? Does he understand man protections where the offensive line have the 4 down and the middle backer? Does he understand the scan principles with all those things? And so with all that being said, if he can understand that, we can move forward. If he can't understand that, then we have to kind of take it back a little bit, and we have to be able to – I'm trying to figure out – you have to have packages for him and bring him along a little bit. And then once he gathers the whole offense, then you can let him go. Sorry about that. One of my babies just got drafted to the Patriots. So I'm sorry. I'm a little –
It's live. It's live. Who's your baby?
One of my kids I coached at De La Salle when I first retired, Devin Asiasi, just got picked up. Tight end, went to UCLA. So
where'd he go?
I'm really excited for him.
Yeah, give us some scoop. Where'd he go? Come on.
He just went to the I think he just went to the Patriots.
Oh, okay. Out of the division.
Bill Belichick wore jeans today. It's a big day. It's a big day in the NFL.
Sarina,
to your point about the offense and running backs,
yeah,
if it's too hard to pick up, you got to change. And I think they've already done that. If it's too hard for your young running backs to pick up your system, then you need to change how you're teaching it or change what you're doing with them.
Yeah, I have in my mind like all those play fakes that Todd Gurley used to abort and pick up a blitz that maybe wasn't expected pre-snap. I mean, he covered up for a lot of things because of his feel for the game in the pocket that Jared Goff and the offense really benefited from. And I think when you remove not only his talent with the ball in his hands, but his ability to be that 11th player and that 6th pass protector in some situations, that's a lot to ask of young backs coming in.
Well, look, Jared Goff, something else you're going to have to step up and do. Protect yourself. I mean, you are the quarterback, you know what I mean? So more on the veteran guy, less on the rookie running back coming in.
Just to recap for our audience joining us, Sarina Morales, JB Long, Maurice Jones, Drew DeMarco Farr. We're going to have Andrew Whitworth joining us momentarily to weigh in on the picks so far. Sarina, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know what? I like Cam Akers as the first pick with a running back of 52. What I like about him specifically is he's humble. I think the whole we not me mentality that Sean McVay is constantly instilling in these guys and the players. And he's just said in a press conference earlier, right after he got drafted, wherever the team needs me to be, whatever they need me to do, that's what I'll do. And so I kind of like that. He's got the same agent as Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey already tweeted out that he's excited to have his buddy from Florida State join the team. So I like 52nd pick with Cam Akers as running back.
Definitely some blue blood college programs producing Rams here with Florida State, Florida, and Alabama. Let's talk some defense and Terrell Lewis off the edge where the Rams are looking to replace Fowler and Matthews. They did officially announce the signing of Leonard Floyd at one outside linebacker position. Is Lewis someone who can contend for that other spot?
I think he can. I mean, he's coming from a program that breeds ballers pretty much, right? Guys that are coming in and impact the game. Now, he's not going to be Khalil Mack coming off the edge. He's not going to be, these young I don't even know who the next guy is that or Chase Young. But what he will do is he's going to come in and set the edge in the running game. He's going to bring a physical tenacity to the defense. And then when he gets his opportunities, which he will one-on-one, he finds ways to get to the quarterback. He's a long, strong, athletic outside linebacker, but he plays the run better than most guys his size.
I got to wait and see. I want to see this guy up close, one-on-one in drills and whatnot. Just going back, I loved Obo Okoronkwo coming out of college. The guy had explosion. He had bursts coming off the line of scrimmage, and you see that in practice, and you see that in games. It just, you don't see it as much as you'd like to. So I think with receivers, running backs, and everything else, with outside linebackers, you have to adjust to the pro game. You have to adjust to the guys you're playing against. Playing against a third or fourth year college pro or college senior is one thing. Playing against an all-pro tackle, completely different animal. So whatever you did in college, unless your name is Aaron Donald, chances are it's not going to work. You're going to have to improve here. So the more depth you have, the more guys you have at that you can throw at that spot, I think the better you're going to be. And I don't think you're going to have I don't think you're just going to have two outside linebackers for the entire year. I think you're going to be rotating a lot of guys through that spot until you find those two guys, to be honest.
It took a bit, but the Dante Fowler, Aaron Donald combo worked well. So like, I'm curious to see where that works on our defense moving forward.
Well, absolutely. It's like an old married couple inside and out. That's why I'm so glad that Michael Brockers had come back, because I bet Aaron and Michael can have a conversation without actually speaking because they played together so long. So when you have a guy that you can vibe with on the outside, it just makes your entire defense that much better.
I think the front looks stout in terms of run stuffing. I wonder who they're going to be funneling those ball carriers to at the middle linebacker positions, whether the Rams feel like they have the answers to those questions in-house or if that's still to come either later tonight or tomorrow in the draft. But Lewis is a super explosive talent measured by his broad jump, his vertical jump, has incredible arm length, wingspan. He did miss most of the 17 and 18 seasons with injury, though. So he comes with the tag of when healthy, he has first-round pass rush upside.
Well, and that's the thing, guys. Like when you watch him, and again, he's at Alabama, right? So they have talent all over that defense, but he flashes, and it's when he's healthy, when he's able to go and he can get off the ball and use his length. And I've seen him drive tackles back into the quarterback. I've seen him use different moves to do different things, and all you can do is when you get him here, try to keep him as healthy as possible. Put more tools in his toolbox to rushing the passer, right? And then hopefully he can win one-on-ones, because that's what you're going to get when you're in this Rams defense. Aaron Donald's going to see double teams, chips from the running backs. You just have to beat one person.
Well,
Dante Fowler got paid a lot of money, which I am so happy that he got paid, but it's because he had to beat one person. And if you can do that.
Well, in this division, winning one-on-ones is just half the battle. Right. If you win, you still got to get Wilson down, or you still got to get Kyler Murray down on the ground. So winning one-on-ones is just half of it now.
Hey, as long as you win them, you keep getting those opportunities. You'll get them down once or twice.
Right.
He joins an edge group that includes Sampson, that includes Obo, that includes Polite, another name that you might be seeing kind of in this competition in training camp as they try and whittle down their 53 and eventually their 46. And I think over the last couple of years, I know they've changed coordinators on defense, but under Wade Phillips, it seemed like they had very specific down and distances where they liked certain outside linebackers. There were even weeks where certain guys would be up or down depending on the matchup and the threat that they felt like the opposing offense presented.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, look, I guess if you were thinking about stopping the run, then Sampson's your guy. I mean, he's great. He puts his nose in there. He's very, very physical. When you had to go after guys that were throwing the football, then you saw a lot of Clay Matthews. So I think those roles are going to be similar. But if you can find a guy that can do both, or find two that can do both and do it well, you're going to stick with those guys. But that competition is going to be hot and heavy earlier in the preseason and into the regular season.
They say competition breeds greatness. And I think that's the thing that you want to get to, right, is getting these young players competing against each other, against your offensive line. The whole iron sharpens iron. We've heard that a ton from the Rams when they break their huddles. That's what you have to do. You have to create that culture of competing every play, because if you got a highly drafted guy right behind you, if you're Samson Ebukam or Obo or whoever it may be, and you have a lot of undrafted guys who last year I thought in the preseason made some splashes, right? So they're getting their feet wet. So you're going to have a lot of competition. Hopefully, it brings the best out of these dudes, and then they can transfer that to the field on game day.
All right, MJD, DeMarco Farr, thank you for being with us for the first 20 minutes of this program. Stick around. We're going to bring you back in as the Rams make what we think will be their fourth pick of the night at 104. Details on that still to come. But we're going to make room for veteran captain on the offensive line and left tackle Andrew Whitworth in just a moment. For those that are just joining us or joining us recently, you are watching the Rams post-draft show presented by Albertsons, Vons, Pavilions, the official grocery stores of the Los Angeles Rams. All right, time to bring in one of the anchors of that Rams offensive line. Sarina, you have the honor.
I'm bringing in Big Whit. Big Whit. I hope he's not golfing at this time, because last time we saw him in a press conference, I believe he was out playing golf, which is the best thing to do, I guess, if you're social distancing and live on a golf course. As we get Whit connected here, audio wise, it'll be exciting to hear what he has to say about two new additions to the Rams offense. We have Cam Akers, the running back out of FSU, at pick 52, and then at 57, Van Jefferson, the wideout from Florida. We have biasness in that state at the moment as we enjoy warm weather in both states, right, JB?
Well, and Sarina, what stood out to me as I watched this first round is, there was a run on tackle, right? Offensive tackle through the first round and a half. There were some other good options there at tackle, but I think securing Andrew Whitworth for another 3 years as he enters his 15th NFL season checked one of the boxes in terms of the needs the Rams had to address this offseason and allowed them to go elsewhere with their first couple of picks. And so there he is, Big Whit, joining us on this Friday night. First of all, hope you and your loved ones are happy, safe, and healthy, Andrew.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank you so much. We're good.
You're not golfing at the moment, Whit. What happened? It's too dark.
That's usually the plan. And right now, it's been a little delayed right now. That's it.
For sure. Whit, you're pretty much an extension of this coaching staff. What do you think? How do you think the Rams have utilized their draft picks tonight? We got two new additions to the Rams offense.
You know what? I think it's awesome. Anytime you can add these young guys and see how excited they are for their opportunity and really to come out and make a difference. I had a chance to text with them already, and it's two talented guys. A running back that you can see that loves running the football. He loves being physical and looks like he'll run well in his own scheme just from seeing his highlights. And then also a receiver that, he looks the part. He looks the kind of guy that Sean McVay loves. So look forward to getting to know those guys and getting a chance to be teammates with them.
Andrew, for much of December, it looked like we were tilting more towards two tight end packages, a lot more multiple stuff. But with these selections, it looks like you're equipped to go back to like the Rams of 2017-18 mold. Is that what you envision, or do you think we'll see a healthy mix of both?
You know what? Knowing our guy and Sean McVay, who knows what we're going to see? But we'll probably have a mixture of it all. I think we've seen that. Really with this group throughout the season, you saw kind of us be able to mix it up later in the year and have some success. And I think that's the key. You just keep growing as an offense, as a team, and the more multiple you can be, the tougher it is on defenses to prepare. And so I think that's an opportunity for us to keep adding weapons to be able to do that.
Van Jefferson was said to be a steal of the draft. I would say mostly because he's an amazing route runner. He's actually compared to Cooper Kupp. Now, I know that, we were looking to maybe replace someone like Brandon Cooks, but having two Cooper Kupps on the field isn't the worst thing in the world, would it be?
No, I mean, you see that guy with football, the way things Cooper does and the job he does of really just being a guy that every single day, the diligence, the attitude he comes to work with, get better. Him and Wood are two great examples for young guys like Josh Reynolds and them to look up to. And so, you know what, he'll get to come in. Jefferson will get to come in and see two guys that go to work every single day with the same kind of mindset and attitude of getting better. And if he can be anything like those, just like I know Josh Reynolds can't wait for his opportunity and is aspiring to follow in those two guys' footsteps. If he can do that, he'll have plenty of success in this league.
Andrew, just kind of reading tea leaves through two nights of the draft and the Rams making all their first selections here this evening. I think before you signed your deal, before Austin Blythe signed to come back to LA, offensive line would have been a big need. But I think there are at least 8, maybe even 9 guys who have either starting experience or starting projections now in your offensive line group. Is tonight a vote of confidence in those individuals that you guys can get to where you want to be on the offensive line in 2020 without bringing in a plug-and-play starter?
Yeah, I mean, I think you really look at our group, how young they really were, the inexperience, and then getting the opportunity to get their feet wet and really grow throughout a year with injuries. it's almost that blessing in disguise that you have two guys in Brian and Joe that we felt good about coming into the season. And you know what, they didn't get a lot of experience, but they got a chance to play and show you there's some capability there. And then they get injured, and even more of your young guys get a chance to get on the field. And really, as many personnel and groups that we got to get out there, now everyone's gotten a chance to kind of get their feet wet, have a chance what the NFL's like, what's going to be expected of them every week. And so I really think it is a vote of confidence in that, we see that there's a bunch of guys in our room that have an opportunity to help us. It's going to be really the best scenario you can possibly have in this business is you got a whole bunch of guys for very few positions. And hopefully these guys will fight and compete, and we'll get the best 5 on the field.
Wait, do you have any say? Do you talk to Sean McVay and Les ahead of the draft and kind of go, I'd like a running back, I'd like a wideout, another tackle? Like, do you give any insight? I mean, you've played for quite a while in the league. Let's not deny that.
More snaps than they have. That was a joke. But you know what? The reality is, no. That if I told Les or Sean what I think we should do, they'd probably tell me the ways they think I can play better. So, it's not really a conversation I want to have that often. But yeah, no, I think that I always just try, and if there's ever questions or anything that anybody wants to ask about what I've seen and what I've been around the league, I try to do my best, whether it's Sean or anybody in the building for that matter, of being able to be there to have the conversation. Because I think dialogue and everybody sharing opinions, you don't always have to agree, but if you share kind of your experience and why you believe in something, I think that you have that opportunity for people to all kind of have common dialogue, decide where, you think you stand and make decisions based off that. And so I'm always open to that. And I don't think those two guys need it that much, though.
Starting on Monday, there's going to be some virtual learning for all of these new Rams rookies, as well as some of the returning players. And the preface of my question here has to do with stepping in to replace Todd Gurley in that huddle, not just what he did with the ball in his hands, but how integral he was to your pass protection and all the things he did, to read pass rushes. And I look at the youth outside of Malcolm Brown, maybe in that running back room now, and you draft Cam Akers with the first pick that you have in your quiver here tonight. What's it going to take, through a compromised offseason program? Who knows when he'll make it to Cal Lutheran and Thousand Oaks to step into that huddle and know his responsibilities?
Well, I think it's going to take a combination of work by everybody from Jared. I mean, Goff's got a huge responsibility in that, and that, as the years go on and he's the quarterback and he's the guy running this offense, he's going to have the responsibility of raising these young pups up. I've had to do it for 14 years with O-linemen and different guys on offense throughout my career at Cincinnati. And that's the biggest thing, whether it's AD, whether it's Jared, when you really look at these young guys, you give the keys to the organization to, the ones that really make it special and seem to have more success and really win, not just be great players, but win, are the ones that invest in more than just whether they play well. They invest in the guys around them and how well they play and how much can they affect the guys around them to step up to another level or to rise to some level that they might not would have got to without the influence of an Aaron Donald, without the influence of a Jared Goff, and that confidence that it gives those young guys to go, man, Aaron Donald believes in me or Jared Goff believes in me. So there's going to be a big responsibility there to strike a confidence up in those guys and to listen. And you know what? He's the guy standing back there with them, so he can help them with protection more than anybody because I'm sure he doesn't want to take a shot either. So, it'll be an experience. It'll be a learning process like any rookie back. And you know what? Darrell Henderson will be going through the same thing, and Malcolm's a great leader in that way. He understands it well. And you know what? I think it'll be a great opportunity for that room to take an investment in, hey, showing what they're about, that they, they can all run the football, but let's make sure we show that, as young back, that you can protect the quarterback. That's going to give the most confidence to the coordinator to put you in there and give you that opportunity to be on the field.
Wait, you've been a mentor, a leader in this team. I'm curious to see, I remember actually talking to you about when, what makes an offensive lineman versus another position. And you said there's a cockiness to them. I read up on Cam Akers very briefly, and one of the things that is said about him is he's very humble. And he even had a quote right before we started this live show: wherever the team needs me to be, whatever they need me to do, that's what I'll do. Do we like a humble running back on this squad?
Oh, no question. You like any kind of player on the team that's got a humble attitude of the team's first. It's about winning in NFL football and whatever it takes. And so there's not really, I don't know if cockiness is the best word, as much as a confidence in themselves that they can go do their job. And they believe in themselves enough to really kind of give you confidence that you feel good about putting them on the field. And I think for a coach, that's the best thing they're looking for. They're looking for not only a kid that believes in themselves, but they have a confidence that they can do their job. And that makes the coach feel like, hey, I can put them out there, I can give them the experience. Because sometimes just the cockiness side of it is they may feel like they can do their job, but they don't know if they can. And so there's no whistling by the graveyard in NFL football. You don't get to act like you're okay. Eventually you will be exposed, and you better be prepared for it because the heat's coming.
You were never exposed, Whit. You were just smooth.
Yeah,
Whit.
There's plenty of exposure in different ways. So I got exposed. I just actually, just thinking right now, I'm thinking of exposure. I had to play Dwight Freeney on Monday Night Football against the Indianapolis Colts. The year they won the Super Bowl was my rookie season, and it was an exposure night. I'll put it that way. It was. I tried really hard. It didn't go as well as I would have liked it to go.
Hey, Whit, last one for me as we kind of all deal with this uncertainty across our society and especially, heading towards the fall in football. I thought a lot about your personal feelings toward this, having made the family decision to sign up for another go round and hopefully 3, but maybe having the season be on pause for the moment in terms of we don't know where we're going with this thing and when it might start and under what circumstances. How much attention, if any, have you given to those realities?
It's a lot. I mean, obviously this affects more than just football. There's a lot of factors that are really important and really way more important than football that this is affecting with families all across the country and all across the world. And so, you pray, your prayers are out for them, your thoughts, and really it's a hard thing to be a part of. I mean, you want all the information you can, you try and pay attention to this stuff and whether we're going to play ball and what's going to happen with sports. But it's also hard to watch some of it, man. Some of the pain and just some of the things people are going through, it's tough. And that's one of the reasons, Jared Goff and I wanted to make a difference and do something in the community a couple of weeks ago and are still looking to do more. And it's just that opportunity to make a difference for people and just try and give people something positive to think about, something positive to hear. I think for me and my family, the football, when it comes, we'll take care of it. We know how to do that. We've done it for a long time, and the kids want nothing more than me to keep playing football. Unfortunately, I don't think I can play as long as they would want me to. And you know what? Melissa's all in. She loves the game and loves being a part of it. So we're ready for that when the time comes, and we know how to do that. We're more worried about the people around us and the country right now and the world, and just trying to make a difference and hope things get better soon.
She's all in for 2020, but what was her reaction when you brought up 3 more years?
I think about a year and a half ago, if I'd have brought that up, it would not have been good. At this point, I think just giving up fighting me on it. I think it's like, you know what, just go. And so the kids have gotten old enough where they love it so much that she's kind of outnumbered. So, if I bring up the subject, the kids are they're all on my team. They don't want to, the boys have loved getting to go to the locker room, getting to be around the guys and just getting to be a part of something they think is special. And girls love wearing the Rams cheerleading outfits and being a part of that too. And so, she's got a tough vote when she tries to argue. So, but eventually, Father Time will take its toll and she'll win.
It's incredible.
Partners you have there in quarantine.
That's right.
Nice beard growing. It's incredible the exposure the kids are kind of getting as you're seeing some of the NFL coaches around the league having their kids sit in these war rooms. I mean, I know your sons come into the locker room and they obviously see a lot more than a regular day-to-day fan would see. How much does that exposure? I'm like, man, what it would be like to be in a war room? Oh, I'm sorry. This person's child is next to them right now making phone calls.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's a lot of blessings in disguise in this thing too for us. And that's one of them. I mean, my boys get to come out every single day in the gym. I turned our garage into a full gym. I got everything you could possibly have in there. And, they get to come in there and train with me every day. So they hop in and I give them little things to do on the side while I'm working out and kind of stuff done I need to. And so they get good workouts. They were pushing some sleds today and arguing with me on how many they had to do. And I think it's fun because, really, regardless of the workouts, they're getting an opportunity to do what it takes. And, they realize a little more some of the conversations we've had lately about how hard you'd have to work. I mean, it's one thing to see you play from the stands. It's another thing to come in the locker room with you when guys are happy or sad with a win or loss. But it's a whole other to really have an opportunity to see the sweat, pain, the agony you're going through day in and day out to just get ready for a season. And so for them to get to see that in person, I think it's been a neat experience for them, and it's brought up a lot of cool questions that I can tell they have a newfound respect really for what it's going to take for them to ever really have whatever job it is they want to do if they want to be successful at it.
Well, I always appreciate seeing you sweating because that's usually what you're doing, or enjoying a nice little brew on the side for draft day. Whit, appreciate you. Please send my regards to Melissa and the kids. Thanks for joining us tonight and offering some perspective on the draft and the upcoming season.
All right. Thank you all so much for having me. Have a great weekend.
You too, Whit.
Good to see you.
Well, we're going to keep it rolling here and bring in another guest, a very, very special guest. Rams fans are going to be excited for this one. He was the 24th overall pick in the 2004 draft out of Oregon State. 16 years ago to the day, rushed for over 1,000 yards in 8 straight seasons with the Rams. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler and the franchise's all-time leading rusher. Welcome in Steven Jackson, who's getting connected right now. This is a big – I love this guest. We've got, I believe MJD is still hanging with us. We've got a couple running backs in the room right now.
What's
I feel
up?
uncomfortable, but I'll let you guys just take over here. But first and foremost, I see Steven Jackson's rocking the Rams hat and the T-shirt. He's getting his headphones on.
You see me? You see me?
Looking fresh, my friend. Looking fresh.
I appreciate it.
How are you doing tonight? Where are you spending your draft viewing?
I'm here in my home in Las Vegas. I'm in my own war room right here watching the draft. I'm not sure if I'm allowed, but I'm having some wine, enjoying this thing.
I'll be right back.
Hey, what's up, man?
We missed the note. We were supposed to get that memo. I forgot. Hey, Steven, as all-time leading rusher, what do you make? We got Cam Akers at 52. What do you think he'll be able to do coming out of Florida State and joining this running backs room?
I think he's going to be able to do some amazing things. He's a dynamic running back. He's added to a room that already has a little bit of depth there. The two guys that we already have in the room are capable of handling the job. And when you add an extra talent like that, it only makes the competition to go up. Whoever's going to rise to the top, but definitely earn their keep because the talent in the room is there. So as a fan of the Rams, although we lost, Gurley, I think we filled it in with some nice shoes.
Well, first of all, Steven, you got to tell us what wine that is and what year.
Oh, yeah. So this is a Lambert Bridge, and this is 2013.
Oh.
Yeah. A Cabernet, Sauvignon.
Yeah, that's a classy year. You have great taste, great palate there.
Thank you.
So, obviously the offseason has been kind of crazy for the Rams, but are you starting to see kind of what the Rams are trying to do and how they're trying to build this thing back and get back to the Super Bowl? And if you do, what are your thoughts on it?
I do. I think what Les and coach is trying to do is obviously they're putting the offense in the hands of golf. And when the offense and the coach do something like that, I mean, they've seen the growth in the quarterback and they're willing to let him, lead the offense, not so much lean on the running game. So that gives me assurance that they're seeing the growth at the quarterback position, and you have enough talent to in the backfield where now you can go out and take advantage of signing Ramsey to a long-term deal and all those things. So the places and the moves that they're making make sense for the long-term goal. We just hope that the talent able to gel in the locker room and obviously perform on the field.
Or Dalvin Cook, the other two Florida State backs with multiple 1,000-yard seasons. But despite those numbers, Steven, my understanding is the offensive line was not what it could be for the Seminoles in front of Cam Akers. So I wonder how you evaluate how a player like that would translate to the National Football League, if he's having to make lemonade at times with his college team.
Yeah, I would say any running back out there that has to make lemonade due to some of the guys up front or the blocking scheme in general, you want to make sure that you can see a guy. He has quick feet. He has a good decision-making skills. If he sees the hole, he trusts his eyes, and not so much trusting the scheme of things because things break down the field. And then lastly, and most importantly, you want to see him make guys miss and actually run through people and get the tough yards on his own. So when guys have to make lemonade out of lemons, those are the things you want to look for on the field to see if he's capable of performing at the next level.
All right, this question's for both of you, both of our fantastic backs who are joining us on our draft coverage. He wore the number 3 with Florida State. He's replacing number 30 in Horns. As a rookie running back coming in, do you make that transition? Do you want that jersey as you step into your rookie training camp?
I think he should go 33.
Steven Jackson, what do you think?
You know what? I actually like that answer, MJ. I think 33 goes good. No, you don't step into the shoes of 30. You know, when Gurley was there in LA and even early in St. Louis, he stepped on the field, he made plays, and he will always be remembered as a great. I mean, he was an offensive MVP one year. So I think for anybody that wants to step on the field and make a legacy for their own, pick your own jersey and do your own thing.
What does it take to kind of be a legacy, like to become a legacy, like Todd Gurley, a legacy of the Rams, Aaron Donald, Michael Brockers, Johnny Hecker? What would you tell some of these guys who are getting drafted for the Rams? How do you kind of start to make your name? I think Taylor Rapp did a great job at that the past year. What do you guys think?
Well, I think for me, the number one thing is being available, right? And Stephen, I'm going to toss it to you here in a second, but I never knew about like taking care of your body. I mean, I ate McDonald's and did all the, you know, all this other stuff when I was in college. Never had a massage till I got to the NFL. Didn't know about the treatment, any part of it. Didn't know really about the cold tub type of thing. And so I think the most important thing is to take care of your body and be available. When you talk about Aaron Donald and you talk about Todd Gurley, when Todd was on the field and he was healthy, I mean, you knew what you were getting. I think you see the same thing with Aaron Donald and Michael Brockers. And it's about being available and your talent being available week after week after week, year after year. That's the most important thing for a rookie. And Stephen, I mean, we've been through some battles, so we know how it is. I'd like you to kind of, I guess, expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. You know, when MJD says be available, he means, you know, the best ability is being available. So if a coach needs you on special teams, if a guy's, you know, backing up, he comes in a backup role and you have to run the cards. I mean, that don't mean you take it light, and that doesn't mean that you take it, you know, not serious, because every rep is important in the NFL. It's not college. You don't have to go and report to study hall. You don't have to do anything else. This is your job. It's mandatory to make sure that you know what your job is at all times, because anybody could go down. As we see now, you know, Todd has some banged up injuries, and then off he goes to the sunset, and now we're looking for his replacement, and everyone's caught off guard. Well, if you're Malcolm Brown or anybody else in that locker room, you should already be available. You should already be ready, and you should already know that next man's up, regardless of what that last name says on the back of the jersey, is that you know your job, you're available, and you're executing it at a high level.
You know, Cam Akers in high school passed for over 8,000 yards and 78 touchdowns. So I'm wondering, of the two of you, our great backs on with us here, YouTube, Facebook, and the Rams.com live, who could sling it better? Who would be more likely to throw a touchdown pass if given the chance?
Steven, by way better athlete than I am.
Even while he's drinking that Sauvignon, the Cabernet right there.
That lets you know he knows how to make the right decisions. You know, like, I don't have anything in front of me. I'm over here trying to wing it right now. You know, I just don't know what's going on. I'm not the kind of guy you want to put you don't want to have me running the show. I'd rather give it to Steven.
You know what? I'll take it. You know, I'm 1 for 1 in my career. I threw it to Randy Michael in New Orleans one year. So, you know, I gladly run that thing. I'll call the offense, the huddle. I'll command the lead and everything. I might quiet the crowd.
Yeah, we need all that.
I do want to give you guys this platform, this opportunity to defend the running back position a little bit, because even tonight, the Rams are already being criticized for taking a running back first. You know, over the last 2 years, basically using 3 picks worth of draft capital at the running back position. That's just not something that many teams in the National Football League are doing anymore. What's your take on the value of a running back in the 2020 NFL?
I will say, when I think it's evident, you know, when your first back goes off the board at the end of the first round, and then you have a slew of guys start to come off the board in the second round, it shows you where teams are kind of seeing where they think they're willing to take the risk. But still, and more importantly, for teams to win in the postseason and get to the Super Bowl, you have to be able to move the ball on the ground. You have to be able to have a 4-minute offense, and you have to have somebody like MJD that you could depend on. It's very easy to come in make some guys miss once or twice in a game, take 7 carries here and there, but to be a bell cow and somebody to depend on, and for your fan base, most fan base want it, regardless if they're just fantasy football or casual fans, they want someone in the backfield that they know they can put the ball in their hands, he's going to make something happen, and that they could depend on.
Yeah, I think Steven said it best. It's so funny that people try to devalue the position when it is, when it comes to winning, and I think the Tennessee Titans did it best last year. They literally turn around and hand the ball off to Derrick Henry the whole time. I mean, from week 14 on, I think he had 1,000 yards rushing in like 6 weeks or whatever. And so you can definitely win that way. I think a lot of people misunderstand the Kansas City Chiefs. I know Patrick Mahomes is awesome in that high-flying offense and all that, but when they got to the Super Bowl, they ran their way to a championship, right? They outrushed the San Francisco 49ers. When you look at what the Niners have done, and granted, I get it, the Niners have a couple undrafted guys and they're doing some good things, but why don't you want the best running backs behind you? If I can get 2 of the best backs to be in my backfield, I can almost guarantee you that we're going to win 10 games, because I know when one's tired, guess what? I have a great one coming in right behind him. And so for me, the game of football will never change. It doesn't matter if it's 5 receivers out there, if there's, no tight ends, backs, whatever you want to do. If you want to win the game, you got to go back to the Ice Bowl. You got to go back to Lombardi in those days where you have to break the other team's will. And that's what a running back does. And I remember, we had a great battle. It was the Jags versus St. Louis Rams in Jacksonville. And we were going back and forth. We ended up going to OT. And it was a great battle between myself and Steven, which you rarely see anymore. You don't see that anymore. You don't see teams, showcasing their backs the way that they used to. But I think that trend will come back very quickly here after everyone saw what the Tennessee Titans was able to do.
All right, well, Steven Jackson, thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you spending part of your evening with us. We wish you could partake in that fine 2013 Cabernet.
Send me a bottle. Oh, it's all right.
Enjoy
No
the rest of it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Take
you.
care. We hope to see you at SoFi Stadium before too long.
Absolutely. Be safe out there, guys.
Thank
All
you.
right. MJD staying with us, and DeMarco Farr will be brought back in as well. We haven't talked enough probably about Lewis on the defensive side with the 3rd pick at 84 overall, but the Rams are also closing in potentially on a 4th selection here this evening. Looks like, depending on what board you're paying attention to, we've crossed the 100 pick threshold, and 104 is just around the corner. Any position of need, Maurice, that stands out to you here that you would like to see the Rams address after taking running back, wide receiver, and edge rusher so far?
I think you hit on a little bit, JB, inside linebacker. There's some really good guys still available. I think backup quarterback as well is another one that you want to look to. But to me, inside linebacker, you want to make an impact right now. You got to get a guy who can be I don't want to say be just like Corey Littleton, but you want a guy that has those abilities, that can cover the slot receiver, cover the tight end, but also be an impact player in the running game. And, Corey Littleton, what made him so special was his impact on special teams as well, right? Like, that's hard to get a guy that can do all 3 of those, especially undrafted guy. But if you could draft a guy that can come in right away and at least give you 2 of those 3 things, then you're good to go.
Let me bring DeMarco back in with this question then, because, if you're part of this great defensive front that the Rams have built with Aaron Donald and Michael Brockers coming back, A'Shawn Robinson joining the fold, Sebastian Joseph Day, who do you want behind you at that second level? And kind of part 2 of my question is, you think about who has worn the green dot for the Rams the last 2 years. Neither of them are with the franchise anymore.
Very good.
That's a big leadership void to fill with Weddle and Littleton both no longer, with the organization.
Play callers. Yeah.
The first guy that comes to mind would have to be Micah Kaiser, right? He was a guy that was supposed to play major snaps before he got hurt in preseason, and you had to kind of fill in around him. That's how we got to Troy Reeder. We were all surprised with, number 1, they kept him. Number 2, he actually earned some reps on the field and played pretty well. But the first guy I would think would be Micah Kaiser. So if A'Shawn Robinson, Michael Brockers, and Aaron Donald, Sebastian Joseph Day, Greg Gaines, if they play up to snuff, if you're playing a run-stopping front like you're two-gapping and stuffing people, then you can play just about anybody behind a line like that if they play up to snuff. But at some point, they're going to spread you out. You're going to have to cover people. So you're going to have to be more than just a tackling machine. You're going to have to actually have to think out there. But the first guy I would say that would get the nod for the green dot would have to be Micah Kiser. He knows the system. He knows the guys. He's been around. They trust him.
Got the smarts, too. He's got that academic Heisman.
Yeah. I mean, and look, I think he was set not to have a breakout, but at least make himself a name last season in that defense if he didn't get hurt. So everything you saw Troy Reeder do with Corey Littleton out there on the field, I think Micah Kiser would have done that probably a little bit more.
Got that Virginia education right there. Also, Micah Kiser is, I will say this, during the season, he was a very active participant, even just standing on the sidelines while he was injured. I mean, he was out there next to Joe Barry and with the linebackers every practice that I was out there for.
Yeah, he was one of the first guys I would see after the game going into the locker room and just ask, how you feeling, what's going on? Man, I bet you missed this. And towards the end of the year, you could see he was really gritting his teeth. Like he really wanted to get out there and not just play. He wanted to help his teammates. He wanted to help and pitch in and try to help this team win. So he's a guy I think that maybe not that we're sleeping on, but watch out for a guy like Micah Kiser coming in and just solidifying a role and just not giving it up.
How about the challenge of learning a Brandon Staley, Vic Fangio defense remotely here in the next couple of weeks?
Boy, good luck. Good luck with that, man. I mean, there's a lot to that defense. There's a lot of intricacies to that defense.
Well, and that's the thing. Everyone's going to be on the same page, right? It's not going to be, you're going to have these virtual meetings and things like that, but no one's coming in with the offense on the other hand, right? Where the receivers know the offense like the back of their hand, Jared, offensive line. This defense is all learning. They're all going to learn new things, which is, it's a good thing and a bad thing because you're going to have to be pretty simple and vanilla on defense for the first part of the year. And you can get a little bit more aggressive like Fangio was able to do when he was with the Niners and the Bears and now obviously with the Broncos. But that allows for a young guy to come in. Like this is my only concern with Micah Kiser. And I mean, he's a run stopper more than he is a cover guy, right? And think about who you're playing in your division. The Seahawks, yes, they want to run the ball, but they're going to throw the ball to their tight ends. So you're going to have a guy cover that. We know the Niners have George Kittle. And then you're going to go to this Arizona team who just got DeAndre Hopkins is going to run 5 and 6 wide receivers out there. They're going to bring dudes out the stands to play wide receiver at one point. I mean, they're still drafting wide receivers, I feel like. And so you have to have a guy that can be on the field and cover. Otherwise, you're going to have to pull John Johnson down there to play linebacker, right? And then run out there with 3 safeties. So that middle linebacker position is pivotal, and that's why you're seeing a lot of teams trade up to get these guys that can run and be athletic.
To JB's question, though, I'll joke a little bit, but I've asked Corey Littleton from taking helm with the green dot and calling plays on defense. And then you had Eric Weddle come in and be the defensive play caller. And I went back to Corey and I was like, man, you're having a heck of a season. And I was just like, does it have anything to do with having less responsibilities? He's like, yeah, I don't have to do that anymore. Yeah. Like, that's his job. So I joke, but I also say this very seriously. Like, this is a lot for any guy coming in and having to take on that extra responsibility.
Sarina, I did it once in high school. Really, and I gave it back after 3 games.
I like that you remember that.
Just once. I can't do it. I mean, I can call it, I can help, but I'm not going to be responsible. I got my own stuff to worry about. So that's a big time trust by your coordinator to give you that role. You got to be able to handle it, think, line people up, and play your position all at the same time. I mean, that's a tough role for anybody.
And that's the
other veteran guy.
The other part is you have to communicate. Right, you have to be able to tell guys, "I need you here. We're running this defense. You got this guy." And then when the offense switches and motions and all this stuff, then you got to flip to a whole. You have to be able to. You have to be a coach on the field, pretty much. You have to know where you're going to go before you even go, and I think that's what makes the Luke Kuechly's, the Ray Lewis's, those guys great because they know the defense just like the DC or the head coach knows the defense. And they can get everyone set. It's just a tough task to do. And so Eric Weddle's able to come in because he's run this defense before, right? When he was with San Diego with Wade. And so it's a similar defense. He was able to do it, and then he was out there. But we still saw him sometimes last year in no man's land.
I don't like safeties doing it. I don't like safeties calling the defense. No. I like linebackers calling the defense. That's
the selection is in.
Have you seen that have called defenses before?
The Rams selection is in.
I have some breaking news for you, and I have to say, while I like the first 3 picks, this one is going to be my favorite of Friday night. You just mentioned Eric Weddle, and another player out of Salt Lake City who played on the defensive side of the football for Eric's good friend Morgan Scalley, the defensive coordinator with the Utes. Terrell Burgess, a safety, is the Rams' 4th selection of the night at pick 104. He's going to team with Taylor Rapp and John Johnson. So the 3 safety looks, the dynamic matchup potential is back in that Rams back end.
MJD, this is who I was talking about. I was like, I love this kid. Oh, this is great.
Oh man, he's all over the place, and I'm sitting here watching his highlights, but it comes back to that 3 safety look. Coach McVay, and that's something that you have to be able to have. And I think with Taylor Rapp being able to cover tight ends now, right? You put him on the tight end, or you put John Johnson the third at linebacker. You can be versatile with these guys now, and it gives you an advantage. Guys that can play linebacker, can cover the slot, can cover the tight end, and still be able to fit in the running game. That's the most important.
So 2 offensive players, running back and receiver in the second round, 2 defenders, an edge and a safety in the second part of the draft for the Rams here tonight. You look at perceived needs coming in. They checked a lot of boxes here, ladies and gentlemen. Running back, receiver, edge, and safety.
What are we doing tomorrow then, guys? What's tomorrow look like?
Offensive line?
Yeah.
Yeah. Offensive line depth. I love competition. I remember talking to who was I talking to early in minicamp about Joseph Noteboom and Brian Allen, about how well they're picking up the offense. And the first thing he said was, well, I hope they make it through the entire season. And sure enough, both guys wound up on IR. So in my opinion, especially if you're going to draft running backs at 52, that's going to be your first pick in the draft. You better make sure you got enough offensive linemen up front, enough competition up front, so you can keep your best 7 or 8 guys available for you.
Well, and I think last year, Bobby Evans stepped up and played huge at right tackle, right? You still have Havenstein coming back.
What do you do with him? Yeah.
Coming back as well. You have Blythe. You trade for
Austin Corbett, yeah.
Right? So you have depth. I mean, to be honest, really, everyone's young except for our guest a couple guests ago, who we came out in the same year of the draft.
Andrew Whitworth?
Playing, but that's neither here nor there. But you have a great nucleus of guys there that you can kind of figure out. Like I was listening and what Andrew was saying. Well, he was like, we'll figure out the best 5 guys, and then we're going to run with it. You got about 10 of them right now.
Well, here's a question for you. If Austin Blythe turns out to be a better center than Brian Allen, then what do you do with Brian Allen?
Well, look, if last year taught us anything, it's that you're going to need more than the first 5, right? 2016, 17, 18, the Rams were kind of living in fantasy land in terms of their continuity along the offensive line. So
keep them all.
Yeah.
Right.
But just to get back to Terrell Burgess, there's one other kind of box that he checks to go back to filling needs, and that's nickel, right? Even if he's not an immediate starter at safety, if Rapp and Johnson are kind of your first 2 there, remember they opted not to keep Nickel Roby-Coleman, who's been so successful for them in that kind of third cover corner role. And I think Burgess has that ability. And DeMarco, as much as I love your Huskies, I mean, they put out defensive pros from day one. Utah's right there in terms of being DBU west of the Mississippi, whether it's Marcus Williams, Marquise Blair, Brian Allen, Corian Ballard. There were, I think, 10 Utah defensive backs drafted in the last 10 years and 2 more here this weekend at least.
It's kind of like Wisconsin and offensive linemen. You take a DB from there, you plug them in, they're trained well there. But it seems like nickels are getting bigger. The nickel player is getting much, much bigger. Like Nickel Roby-Coleman and that size slot corner seems to be going by the wayside, being replaced by bigger guys that can do both. It gives the defense more versatility, and you don't lose anything versus the run.
I had Burgess at 6 foot 198, so just shy of 200 when I did his college games last year in Salt Lake City.
He's very much like Taylor Rapp. He had 81 tackles last season, quick to the edge. I mean, I've watched a bunch of Utah games just to talk a bit to our buddy who just departed, Eric Weddle, and he loves him. So I'm excited for again Terrell Burgess. We got Terrell Lewis, Van Jefferson, Cam Akers. That's it for day 2 of the Rams draft.
Wow.
I think the Rams got quality guys that were needs, right? Cam Akers, you're able to diversify your backfield, right? So you have Henderson, Malcolm Brown. Now you add in Cam Akers, a different type of back than the other two. You go and get Van Jefferson, another route running receiver to help with your receiver depth. And in regards to people saying you drafted a 4th receiver, you don't know what he may end up being a number 1 guy. You don't know, right? You're going in saying you're drafting a 4, but this kid, again, he's been coached and had NFL coaching since he's been a baby. So you don't know how good he can be and what his potential is. Then you go and get an Alabama linebacker that's going to come in and set the edge and compete with the other guys you have. And then you come in and add another safety. And I have to say this because I mean, when I was playing in the pack, Utah wasn't in the pack. So we kind of like pushed them to the wayside a little bit. But no wonder Utah was throttling UCLA like they've been throttling. They have like 18 dudes get drafted already.
Yeah, they have.
What is going on up there, JB?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about how true to the Utes Eric Weddle was, and you kind of have one out, one in replacing that back end. I think it's a pedigree pick. I think you look at everything the Rams have done tonight. Who knows what this offseason, this summer is going to bring, right? But you have 4 players proven from blue blood programs who have had outstanding tutelage, and I think we'll be able to transition in as short a period as necessary to make an impact as soon as possible.
No doubt. I'm an elitist, man. I like big school guys.
Oh.
Hey. I like big school guys.
You're happy with our edge.
I'm like Steven Jackson. Give me the finest wine that you can find.
Thank you very much.
It just sounded good.
Guys, we're doing it wrong. We had Whitworth on. He had a nice beer. We had Steven Jackson on with a nice glass of wine. And we're here.
Right.
Just with draft picks in our hands, which is okay by me.
5 seconds after I sign out.
DeMarco and MJD, I'm not sure if you were able to hear Andrew Whitworth when he was on with us and we gave you a momentary reprieve, but one thing that will stick with me from our conversation tonight is kind of the tea leaves that I was reading, that Sean McVay and Les Sneed and Aaron Cromer believe they have the options they need in-house at offensive line to get this offense back to where it was 2 years prior. And I know that there are some fans that are skeptical of that, right? Because of what happened for, say, the first 12 games of 2019. But there were some good offensive line options on the board tonight that went past the Rams picks, and they opted to address other needs. I think they are saying we can be vastly improved with the same pieces next year.
I remember talking to Aaron Cromer right before a game. I think it was like week 9, week 10, maybe even later, when that group, the new 5, was starting their 3rd or 4th game together. And we started to say, we like those guys out there. We like that group. If you keep the same 5 or at least 6 or 7 guys together for more than 5 weeks, that offensive line is going to get better. And I think that group got better last year. So, yeah, there's talent there. If you want to move and add depth for competition for preseason, then so be it. But I think you have enough talent there to win right now with that offensive line.
And they've addressed the offensive line the last couple of years in the draft. Let's not forget David Edwards, Bobby Evans, obviously Joseph Noteboom, Brian Allen. Like, you've addressed this, you've traded, you've made some moves to do it. But I think, because I actually spoke with Coach Cromer at the Combine, and it's about getting that continuity, right? And that's the most important thing. That's what this season was all about. They didn't know. I mean, DeMarco, you just said it, or you said it a little earlier on, that Michael Brockers and Aaron Donald can have a conversation without talking.
Right.
Your 5 offensive linemen have to be able to do that. And it's hard to do that when you're mixing and matching guys week after week, and you're telling people, hey, like, all right, we're going to down block here and I'm going to pull. Are you ready? Like, now they know what's going on. But when you can look at each other and know this guy's in this technique, I know, I trust and know that you're going to do this. I can make these things go, or we're going to slide out to this guy, right? That's what makes an offensive line good. And it's about that continuity. And I think that's what they're working towards.
Marco, I'd say this. I think I remember the day that we talked about it. I forget if it was week 10 or 11, but that continuity, I mean, I will give it to even, someone like Jared Goff. Jared's gone through 4 different QB coaches, and that's not an easy feat to constantly have change. I mean, the 4 of us work together very regularly, and we're doing a Skype call or a Zoom call. So for an NFL draft that's never been done like this, to go and put guys, I mean, I like to know that someone's going to take care of me on an O-line, a D-line. You guys know better than me, but like Aaron Donald definitely was drinking a nice bottle of wine, I'm sure, when we brought back Michael Brockers after that 3-day span. So, I mean, I think it's actually more important than we actually realize.
Oh, no doubt. 2 things I took from what Whit was talking about. I love listening to Andrew Whitworth talk about football, talk about life. You will be exposed. That's something that all NFL players know. Yeah. You will be exposed at some point. You're going to be knocked right on your butt. And number 2, it's time for Jared Goff to grow pups, to absolutely grow these young guys up. And that's offensive line included. Even if the guy is a veteran, if you're new to the starting lineup, well, it's incumbent upon him to get you up to speed, because ultimately it's his butt that's on the line. So no matter who he has behind him or in front, it's all about Jared Goff being the leader of this offense and keeping everything going.
I know this runs contrary to exactly what you're saying, DeMarco, but I think it resonates with me that they signed Austin Blythe at the time they did this offseason, given what they were up against in terms of salary space and whatnot. And Sean McVay said he intends for him to be the starting center, right? So I think those things go hand in hand in terms of that partnership. And Sean McVay even said it's more similar to what Goff had with John Sullivan for a couple of productive seasons. Point. And I think they're trying to replicate that for Goff going into 2020.
When they used to talk about John Sullivan, about what he brings to the game, he'd be able to adjust to stuff that they hadn't talked about during the week. That's how smart he was. So that's where Austin Blythe is headed. That only comes with reps and being out there and understanding what you have to your left, to your right, behind you, and what you can see in front of you and how to adjust to it. If you can adjust faster than your quarterback, that makes you a great center. That's how you become a Hall of Fame center, when you can adjust your protection faster than the signal caller can.
Well, I also think it's important, when you were talking to Whitworth, it's important for Jared to understand that everyone has to think like him, right? Everyone has to see the field the same way he does. When you get 11 guys that understand the way that, or 10 other guys that understand the way the quarterback is thinking, from your guard, center, tackles, it makes you play faster. And that's what we saw those 2 years, right? Everyone was playing fast because everyone saw it the same way. All of a sudden, one piece goes out, then it's like, right? Like, it's like kind of playing Jenga. Like, one piece went down and now the thing is starting to tilt a little bit. So it's important, especially with this shortened off season, that Jared gets in touch with all these young dudes, right? Like, and I have to say this, part of getting the big contract as a quarterback is you have to make sure that everyone's on the same page. And that's what Andrew Whitworth was saying. It's on you to make sure that we're all thinking the same way. And when we can do that, we can play fast and we can play great.
Hey, while we're talking quarterback, can I get your big picture thoughts on, I think, two of the biggest headlines from Thursday and Friday night? They both have to do with drafting rookie quarterbacks. One behind Carson Wentz, one behind Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
What was your reaction?
Who's the first one?
Behind Carson Wentz.
Not smart.
Tonight, and then Aaron Rodgers last night. What was your reaction to those selections by the Packers and Eagles?
I understand why the Packers did it. I mean, listen, if you're going to play till 40 AR, I get it, right? We still got this kid for 4 years. He's going to learn behind you. I understand that completely. I also understand Philly, because Carson Wentz, he's hurt every year, right? You have to have a capable guy that can come in and make plays. Steven Jackson, we talked about the number one ability being availability. Well, Aaron Rodgers has been banged up the last couple of years. And I understand that Matt LaFleur, saw this talent and was like, I can't pass on it. But also he saw this talent that can learn behind arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks of our game, right? And to me, I know Aaron is probably pissed off about it, because I would be, but it's not about you. It's about the organization, and that's why they made that move. And then with the Eagles, I mean, I still thought it was a little early to take a quarterback at 2, but they got a really good one in the second round to back up Carson Wentz, who we don't know if he'll be healthy.
Well, the first thing I thought, Maurice, was the guy in New Orleans, the backup quarterback that seems to play when Drew Brees is out there at the same time.
Oh, Taysom Hill.
Yeah, I read today that they might play those two guys at the same time, Hurts and Wentz, which would be scary. It could be something nouveau NFL, but the Packers, that's interesting. Why wouldn't you try to build to win now with Aaron Rodgers? Why would you be building for the future when you have one of the best quarterbacks playing? That doesn't make sense to me at all.
Doesn't that mess with their psyche? Just,
have they drafted a receiver yet?
That's what I'm saying. Why not
back.
go all in and help Aaron Rodgers
right.
versus trying to replace him in a few years?
They got him a running back.
And weren't they just in the NFC Championship game?
For our audience live with us on Facebook, YouTube, and therams.com, we have Les Sneed and Sean McVay on their way to join us to finish out the night. One thought from me as we await their appearance, and that is the value of the comp picks, right, that the Rams have made really good use of in recent years. And I know the first part of this offseason is tough to see valuable pieces like Corey Littleton and Dante Fowler get away. But as you wrap up the night at 104 with a player of Terrell Burgess's caliber who can come in and impact your defense in a few different ways, those are the types of calculations that this Rams front office makes, calculated risk-reward type decisions that results later in the spring with some nice depth pieces that could come in and really bolster your 53-man roster.
I completely agree with that, Jay.
Mic drop. Everybody's done. No. It wasn't that good of a point, but I understand why.
I didn't have my air horn, JB. My air horn.
I just uncorked my wine.
Do we have can we give her a grade to how the draft went for the Rams?
Ooh,
like A, B plus. What do we got?
Maurice, you go first.
Well, I mean,
I thought you read all those books.
Listen,
Maurice, you go first.
I have no problem with this, DeMarco. Anytime you take a running back first,
of course,
you're going to get a 90 at least.
Oh,
I was really impressed with the Terrell Lewis signing pick, which I think is going to be one of the better ones, as well as the Van Jefferson one. And before we even got to the fourth pick, I thought the Rams were picking pieces that can come in and make immediate impact as soon as this season turns on, right? These guys can come in right away and play. All three can play right now. Then when you add Burgess, obviously, he can come in as well. And so I think that they've done a phenomenal job of allowing guys to leave, like JB said, but then being able to, and it's a crapshoot in the draft. Let's be honest. Like, you don't know who's going to be there at 52. You don't know what's going to happen. And it just seemed like the picks and the players just fell the right way in day two.
DeMarco likes big schools, so he's happy, I assume.
Very. I mean, blue blood guys. Look, if you want the best players, go to the best schools. That's what I always was taught, and that's what I always thought. So I'll give a solid B plus, A minus. The only head scratcher is going running back first. Now, that's not to say the kid won't turn out to be something special or he wasn't special at Florida State. I just didn't see that coming when you just let Todd Gurley go. So I thought that would be the last position you would try to draft, especially at 52. But we'll see. So A minus draft, B plus, passing grade all around. We'll see how they turn out.
You guys know me. I don't even bother with these conversations until 3 years down the road. Like, if you want to evaluate the 2017 class, if you want to talk Gerald Everett, Cooper Kupp, John Johnson, Josh Reynolds, Samson Ebukam, like, I'll go down that road with you without having a first round pick in Sean McVay's first season. But in terms of tonight, I mean, so many things are going to factor into that. How does the 2020 offensive line hold up? Do they revert more back to their 2017-18 form and continuity and health and success? Does Andrew Whitworth play into his 40s? Is the solution at center actually in-house rather than in this draft? Mm-hmm. Can Rob Havenstein play like a fringe Pro Bowler at right tackle, or does Bobby Evans succeed him at right tackle? All these questions that I think will dictate a lot of the choices that the Rams have made here tonight and validate whether or not they were good ones. Validate whether or not they could afford to go shopping for two skill position players in the second round versus drafting for the future in the trenches, because they've ignored offensive and defensive line in this draft to this point. Defensive line, they started at a good place, got better, and then got Michael Brockers back as a surprise gift. Offensive line, they're betting on themselves, and I don't think you can evaluate this draft class now or 3 or 5 years into the future until you know how those 5 or 6 or 7 play up front this coming season.
JB, do you remember how many sacks the Rams allowed last year? It was low.
Too many.
It was low.
Well, any is too many, I suppose.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing is,
48.
sacks are always misleading, right? Like
Right.
I know it's easy to hang your hat on, but the pressures were disruptive. The pressures were mounting, and it threw off what Sean McVay wanted to do, had designed, and what Jared Goff was able to execute. Sorry.
JB
Mic
might
drop
drop again. I still got you, DeMarco. I still got you.
One question I don't have an answer to here tonight is who is the artist responsible for the drawing over DeMarco's left shoulder here tonight?
That is actually my 19-year-old daughter from when she was a baby.
It
Yeah.
was like she just, that was like a recent picture that was from her baby.
No, that's way back.
$100 million on DeMarco.
I was gonna say, if she came home from Corvallis with that to show for her semester, DeMarco, I've got some questions.
I want my money back. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, sir. No,
Well,
no,
we thank you both for being here. It's such a pleasure to see you, DeMarco and Maurice, and we're going to do this all again tomorrow to finish out day 3 of the NFL draft. But we'll release you for now so you can enjoy the rest of your evening and maybe find a vintage akin to what Steven Jackson was enjoying earlier on this show.
I'm about to get SJ39.
Oh, I like that. See you guys tomorrow.
Have a good night. And Sarina, for those still with us on YouTube, Facebook, and therams.com, don't go anywhere because 2 of our featured guests are just around the corner.
Yeah, for everyone, all Rams fans that are joining in from therams.com and our YouTube, online, everywhere, we are bringing in from the war rooms themselves, and they're separate war rooms this year, given the change of everything going on outside of football. We'd like to bring in 2 very, very busy men. We've got head coach Sean McVay and general manager Les Sneed, who will be joining us shortly. Here they are, and he's still wearing his glasses. Les still has his glasses on, so I'm glad about that. How are you guys doing? A lot of work has been done. Obviously, more work to go. But how do you 2 feel? Les, I'll start with you. How do you feel about the Rams draft picks at 52, 57, 84, and 104?
We felt it was a very productive day's work. A lot of time went into trying to project who might be around in the second and third rounds, and we were intentional and strategic, not only about the humans, but the skill set that they brought to us and the positions that we might need assistance at. So a lot of work went into it by a lot of people. So Sean and I were just there to kind of execute everything at the end. But there's a lot from the personnel staff to coach staff working together. When you only have picks in second, third round, it does take a little bit more work to get on the same page.
So let's start at the top then with Cam Akers. And I know both of you are aware enough to know the scrutiny that comes with taking a running back with a first-round pick or the first pick of your draft capital. What was the thought process going in and investing that pick on that player?
Go ahead, Les.
Oh, well, first of all, I would say I don't understand the scrutiny, but you can enlighten me on that. But I remember I know this. Kara has this video of video that Sean sent one night when he was studying Cam, and interestingly, right, it didn't have a lot to do with him running, but if you know the story of Cam, he was quarterback in high school, really good player out of Mississippi, ended up going to Florida State to run the football. But there was this one play where, and I'll let you take it from here, Sean, and describe it, but ultimately we did feel like that he was going to give us an element of size, speed, power, ability to catch the football, ability to protect the passer. Very versatile weapon for us, and definitely will take a really good weapon any day of the week.
Yeah, no, we feel like he's a big time guy. Really impressed with the human being as well. I mean, I think it says so much about him when one of the first texts I received after we put that pick in is Derek Brooks, one of the all-time greats from FSU and obviously a Hall of Famer. And, I got a chance to work with Derek in Tampa, and Cam's just an impressive human being, what he was able to do, the versatility, the skill set. There's certain players when you flip on the tape, you just feel them, and they're a threat to score anytime they touch the football. Really, listening to Thomas Brown, the scouts, they've done such a good job of really vetting the human being, and we're really excited to add him to our group with, the guys we have in place.
At pick 57, Sean, I don't know, Van Jefferson just seems to me like this is your guy. Played all three receiver spots, but likely to do a lot of damage at the slot. He's versatile. They compare him to a Cooper Kupp. Again, we're trying to change things around, losing Brandon Cooks, but to me, I'm like, two Cooper Kupps is great, right?
Yeah, you know Cooper Kupp's a great football player. I think when you look at Van and what he's able to do, he looks like a guy that's been around the game his whole life, very polished, understands how to work edges on people, the nuances of the receiver position with his dad, Sean Jefferson, having a great career as an NFL player, and now he's in coaching. And, he looks like a guy that's been running routes his whole life and been studying the game. Football just makes sense to this guy. He's tough. He's got good size. He's got the ability to play inside and outside. And I think when you look at the guys that we already have in place that have really established themselves as clear-cut players with Robert, with Cooper, with Josh Reynolds, adding Van to the mix is going to be a huge benefit, and we're very excited about him.
Les, I understand he couldn't run at the combine because of a foot injury. So how much did you and your staff lean on the data you got from the Senior Bowl and elsewhere to evaluate his football quicks?
Well, I think the first thing you do is watch the film and try to get an element of it. And it's a subjective element, right? Of how fast he can run and especially how fast he can separate from defenders, running routes, thinking about the routes, thinking about coverages and in football pads. But there are ways now with technology. You can go to the Senior Bowl and try to get the miles per hour and see. Again, that's a nice tool to have, because again, that's not just running a 40, which sometimes I call as an A to B drill. Football is not A to B, it's A to Z. There's a lot that goes on before you get to Z, so you got to get to Z fast. So that's that, and you can also check in with the training facilities and kind of see what they might have been running while they were training for the combine. So that's a little bit what we do. But I know this. Being able to be at home, I think Kara and my daughter Cannon got to hear from the kitchen Sean and I discussing Van Jefferson after Sean had really taken a deep dive over the last few weeks into Van. Had Sean in Atlanta, so got to talk to Sean tonight about Van. But I would tell my daughter said this, wow, Sean sounds a little different talking about that guy. So that tells the story right there.
Before we transition to round three and some defensive talk, I just kind of had this intuition about what your selections in the second round said about what you feel you have up front. And Sean, I wonder if you're doubling down, betting on the guys that you have on that offensive line and under Aaron Kromer's tutelage to get the job done and to achieve more of the 2017-18 standard without having to search for a plug-and-play starter here this weekend.
Yeah, I think you're right, JB. And really, in a lot of instances, what last year was beneficial for us, in spite of having some of the injuries and shuffling things around, you got a chance to really evaluate a lot of guys playing in real games that count, and you can see that there's a lot of upside. And even you look at an Austin Corbett, acquiring him mid-season, you say, all right, what does it look like if you get an opportunity to have a training camp and some guidance under Coach Kromer's tutelage? David Edwards being able to play multiple spots, what Bobby Evans was able to do, and then very confident in Rob Havenstein coming back healthy. The confidence we have in Austin Blythe and what he was able to do at the center spot. And then there's two players that unfortunately got injured that we drafted a couple years ago that have done nothing but continue to demonstrate why we think they're very good players with a bright future, and Joseph Noteboom and Brian Allen. So a lot of depth up front and a lot of guys that we're excited about just watching them continue to grow. And then obviously Big Whit continuing to lead the way for them.
A lot of significant changes on defense, especially with the departure of guys like Corey Littleton and Dante Fowler. With 84 with Terrell Lewis, and then with 104 Terrell Burgess, you've got an edge and a safety. Were you kind of looking with those picks to fill some of those voids on defense?
I think that it's interesting going to Terrell. He's somebody we valued as he's definitely a scheme fit. Brandon likes very tall, long defenders on the edge, and Mom, Dad, and God, made this guy very tall, long, and big. And one thing he can do is he has an element of short area explosion that is rare. I do think he fell in the draft a little bit based on some of the play history in the past and the medical issues that he had. So we felt like, you know what, that was an opportunity for us to take advantage of maybe that fall, and felt like he'd fit right in. And yes, we going into this, and I'll let Sean elaborate. I've termed it simply looking for our third safety, but Sean will definitely let you know that, you know, in today's NFL, those players do come in, they do play. There's a lot of times 5 and 6 DBs on the field. So we were short there. This is a football player, very versatile corner and safety. So love the kid, love the human, and felt like he'd help the Rams. Sean?
Yeah, no, I think both these players are really going to help us. It's really unique to be able to find the value that we place while also being able to fulfill some needs that we had kind of, thought were things that we needed to address going into this draft. And I think when you look at just the 4 players that we were able to get today, it was a great day for the Rams. Terrell Lewis is a guy that has a lot of upside. And I think when he's been able to stay healthy, been on the field, you see the unique traits, the athleticism, and some of those things with just the measurables are very rare. And talking to Chris Shula, the confidence that he has, and you just look at the background, very excited to get him here and see what it looks like when he gets a chance to work with our coaches whenever that time will be. And then with Burgess, I mean, everything that you love about the makeup, but then the versatility, the athleticism. This is a guy that can cover the slot. He can play as a safety. You talk about a guy that's wired above the neck the right way. When you talk to Eric Weddle or you talk to Scully, their defensive coordinator, everybody just can't say anything but great things about this human being. And you talk about what you're looking for in a Ram, and this guy seems to check all the boxes.
So to that
And the
point,
standard is the standard. You guys are
There you
filling
go.
it.
to that point, I know you're not just looking for an Eric Weddle replacement, but also Nickel Roby-Coleman. Does he kind of bridge that divide a little bit? Which area do you see him contributing in first, maybe?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is he's got the ability to do both. You know, he'll go with the safeties to start. I think it depends on which kind of personnel groupings, but the beauty of it is everybody gets an opportunity to compete, and some of the best things come from guys just earning opportunities. And you have a vision for somebody, but they might change that vision if they just come in and earn the right to be able to, play in the slot as that nickel spot, or, be able to play, the star position, some of the different things that we would ask. But we're getting an athletic defensive back that has safety and really nickel flexibility. And that's an exciting thing for us, JB.
Well, Sean, Les, great to see you both on the TV coverage tonight and here on our live post-draft coverage as well. Wish you a good night's sleep and even more success finding the next group of Rams tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you. And a huge thank to all of our guests who joined us tonight, Sean McVay and Les Sneed, Whitworth, Andrew Whitworth, who came and joined us, Steven Jackson, Maurice Jones-Drew, DeMarco Farr. JB, it's been quite a night, and I really appreciate everything you joining me on this lovely night to talk Rams Draft 2020.
2 shows down, 1 to go. It's great to be able to do it and to give our audience a reprieve from all of the real world difficulties that we're all coping with. Thank you, Sarina. Thanks to all of you for watching the Rams post-draft show presented by Albertsons, Vons, Pavilions, the official grocery stores of the Los Angeles Rams. We will see you right back on these channels tomorrow, Saturday, 3:30 p.m. We're going to break down day 3 with MJD, with DeMarco Farr. Johnny Hecker will be our guest, and hopefully we'll get a member of the Rams draft class as well. Get to know them just a little bit. Again, you can catch it on YouTube, Facebook, and therams.com, 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, Saturday nights. For now, it's good night from the Long household, from the Morales household as well. Sarina, have a good night. And welcome to the Rams, Cam Akers, Van Jefferson, Terrell Lewis, and Terrell Burgess. Good night.